So, thank you very much indeed, Minister, and really great to hear, certainly from a company point of view, about the focus on cost competitiveness and the identification and focusing in government on energy efficiency and its recognition of ISO 50001 for those of you who are having to fight the good fight with some of the more sceptical people amongst your organisations. And good to hear about the Minister and SAI looking for projects that will help to inspire others across industry and the public and private sector. So I'd like to introduce you now to Dermot Walsh from Ervia. Dermot coordinates the ISO 50001 Energy Management System on behalf of Gas Networks Ireland, which was formerly Bord Gáis Networks. And the scope of the current system includes energy and water usage, over 200 operational and non-operational sites, which is a fairly wide portfolio. It includes the fleet vehicles and Ireland, Scotland and Northern Ireland, so a multinational. Yeah. Not many people know that, maybe. And I'll hand you over now to Dermot, and he'll tell us a little bit more about the journey that Ervia and Gas Networks Ireland are making.
Thank you, Conor. Good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here. Thank you for Ronan and his team for inviting me to participate. It's great to be here. I haven't spoken in front of 200 people, I'd say, since my wedding day, so this is a great opportunity. There's a few familiar faces in the crowd as well, so I presume to be heckled here at question time later, so there's no problem at all. My name is Dermot Walsh. I'm currently working with Ervia, but I'm coordinating ISO 50001 on part of Gas Networks Ireland, or formerly Bord Gáis Networks. So what I'm going to do is give a quick presentation. I'll provide my own background, just for people to give a way of an introduction. I'll give an introduction to Gas Networks Ireland, just in terms of our asset base from Scotland, Northern Ireland and Ireland. I'll go through Gas Networks Ireland, our current 50001, the scope and our policy, our energy balance and our energy usage. And then I'm going to talk a little about, I suppose, where we're going in the future with our integrated management system, and I suppose where we want to go from there. And then further on from that, I suppose, our more detailed plans for the future. So I suppose my own background is that I'm a mechanical engineer since about 2006 from University of Limerick. I've done Energy Management Masters in 2010, and I've recently been certified energy manager since 2014. I worked with RPS Engineering Services for a number of years as an energy and facilities engineer, so from, I suppose, the energy point of view, but also from the doing point of view on the facilities side. From there I moved on to Mark Sharp and Omer MSD Ballydyne in Tipperary, and I was the energy manager there for approximately 2.5 years before joining Gas Networks Ireland and Ervia back in April in 2013. So just to give you a brief overview of, I suppose, Gas Networks Ireland. Gas Networks Ireland own, operate and develop, maintain the natural gas pipeline in Ireland, and also in parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. Ensuring public safety is the single most important objective of our business. We currently have about 670,000 customers in Ireland, and we operate obviously 24/7. We connect customers regardless of gas suppliers, so we're the gas utility company, and you might be connected to suppliers. We operate the actual system rather than the actual end user. We manage over 19,000 reported gas escapes annually, so we have a large amount of people out on the road daily and nightly to ensure that the gas is delivered safely and in a good manner. We're expanding the gas industry over the next few years, and I'll talk more about that in terms of natural gas vehicles and also renewable gas and smart metering, and I'll get to that in the implications of ISO 50001. The next slide here is just to kind of give you an overview of, well, I don't think you can see that very well, but basically how gas actually enters Ireland. So about 95 to 96% of gas that comes into Ireland actually comes through the UK. And the entry point is from one of our compressor stations in Beatock in Scotland. And from there it's delivered into another compressor station just before it goes into the interconnectors. From that side we actually deliver gas as well to Northern Ireland. As it comes across the interconnectors, we actually supply gas to the Isle of Man as well. And then it hits landfall in Cormastown and Lough Shinny, and from there the pressure is reduced from approximately about 110 bar down to about 70 bar, and then it's distributed through our transmission pipeline to our various different towns and city centres for further pressure reduction. And this is where an awful lot of our energy is actually used in terms of our compressor stations, our pressure reduction stations, what we call AGIs. So we've passed approximately about 2,500 transmission, or 2,500 kilometres of transmission pipeline and about 11,500 of distribution pipeline. We have 3 compressor stations, so the 2 that I mentioned in Scotland, and we have 1 small one in Cork. which delivers approximately 4 to 5% of gas from the inch field, which adds up to that. In the next number of years, that percentages will probably change with the Corrib coming online in the next 2 or 3 months. So it'll probably be about 40% from the Corrib, 5% again from Inch, and then the remainder from Scotland. So currently we're looking at 3 compressor sites, 7 offices. We've approximately 180 AGIs, DRIs and POP sites. So these again are our pressure reduction stations, which make up an awful lot of our energy usage, and I'll get into a bit more detail on the energy balance about that. So to give an overview, this is our energy policy, which is obviously signed off by senior management. I suppose the reason why we implemented ISO 50001 was to help us achieve our 33% energy efficiency improvement as part of the partnership agreement with SAI. It also has other factors as well, that it supports our corporate responsibility. We've quite recently been certified or achieved the Business is Working Responsibility mark. We're the only one of 13 companies in Ireland at the moment, so it supports that as well. So it's not just energy related, it also has other facets where it actually goes into corporate responsibility. The current scope and boundaries include fleet, so we've petrol and diesel vehicles. We've approximately 80 to 90 vehicles on the road at any one time, operating 24/7. We then have actually fleet vehicles as well. We're breaking into the compressed natural gas market. So we've a few of those vehicles at the moment, and that's going to steadily increase over the next number of years. In our facilities, we have data centres, offices, training facilities, and so on and so forth. So we have electricity, natural gas, and water in those areas. And then we have the likes of our AGRIs, our DRIs, or district reduction installations, and compressor stations where we use electricity and water. Currently excluded is business travel. I'll talk about that maybe a bit later on as well for our plans for the future, and shrinkage. So shrinkage, for some of you who don't know, shrinkage is the amount of gas that we use to actually transport gas in Ireland. So we have gas turbines that power mechanical compressors to compress the gas descended from Scotland to Northern Ireland and to Ireland. And then we have natural gas as well for the pressure reduction stations, where we have to safely reduce pressures from 70 bar down to 19, 14 bar and stuff like that. So we do use an awful lot of natural gas to actually safely transmit and transport natural gas throughout Ireland, and that's currently excluded, but for good reason, and I'll explain why we've excluded it for the time being in the next few slides. So this is the energy balance we have at the moment. So as Conor said, we're operating at the moment across Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland. And what I've given there is kind of a rough balance of where we are with our significant energy users. So looking at our above ground installations, which are our pressure reduction stations and DRIs, our Scotland electricity sites, so mainly our compressors, which would be our big one. Our facilities are quite large as well, from data centres and training centres. Then we have the compressor site in Cork, we have the fleet, we have the Northern Ireland operations sites as well, and the office natural gas. So if you're looking at kind of the big areas that we're looking at the moment, it would be the compressor stations in Northern Ireland and also our facilities at the moment. So that kind of gives you a good overview of where we are in terms of our energy management at the moment. And again, we had an awful lot of fun when we looked back. We had 6 different energy suppliers, 7 different water suppliers, and trying to get all the billing information and determining what was done and how it was done before in the past was fun, shall I say. It was a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge, but 50001 is evolving. It's all about continuous improving, and we're continually improving our system as well. So we're breaking our energy balance into different areas, into different significant energy users, and then we're trying to build each of the business units or business areas to give greater accountability and responsibility to the actual business, rather than it just be important to the energy team or the environmental team. So we're trying to work on that and to make it more integrated into the business as well. That's not to say that energy efficiency wasn't already part of the business. So here in front of us on the right hand side, back in 2008, the managing director commissioned the building of our new network services centre out in Finglas. And the idea of this network services centre was to bring 3 regional offices from City West, Sandyford and Finglas all under one roof, but one provision, to do it in the most energy efficient manner possible. So how were they going to do it? So they went out for competition and they looked at how they actually could measure the energy efficiency, so they decided to use the BREEAM method of measuring how sustainable and how energy efficient it was. So this was commissioned in 2008, it was built and completed in 2011, and it's got all PV, solar, rainwater harvesting, ground source heat pumps, heat recovery, it's got a garden roof and all that, and that really showed where our company wanted to go. It's kind of the crown jewel, I suppose, at the moment in terms of where we are. It's won a series of awards as well for architecture, design and energy efficiency. But again, they wanted to make sure that it wasn't just all about, you know, having energy efficient design and walk away from it. So there was a series of, I suppose, energy monitoring reports that went into it as well. So there's a series of metrics and tracking tools that we have at the moment. We have soil and active energy as well as part of that. We have a number of different methods of recording and measuring our energy performance. So as part of 50,001, we needed to put in energy performance indicators, track and trend how we've actually been performing. Using the likes of different methods of energy saving. So again, as I said, we have metering, but also manual reads, in terms of historic reads as well. There's a huge amount of information that we have to take in at the moment. It has been a challenge, and it continues to be an ongoing challenge to get information, and timely information, to the business as well. Because business owners don't like to hear that, you know, the bill is 2 months old. If I'd known about it 2 months ago, I could have fixed it for you. So it's about getting timely information. And I'm not saying go out there and stick energy monitoring equipment everywhere, because sometimes it's just not cost effective. So to realise, yes, put energy monitoring in, but to do it in a cost effective manner in terms of what you actually expect to deliver. So these are a few examples that we have in terms of our monitoring at the moment, and we're continuing to widen that. We've a series of energy monitors as well that come back through our SCADA system as well. Looking into the future, we have currently 4 certified management systems, and we're going for certification for the 5th. So at the moment we have quality 9001, environmental 14001, safety 18001, energy 50001, and we're going for asset management 55001. So we're very ISO heavy at the moment, but that's brought a number of opportunities as well to us in terms of integrating other ISO systems into 50001 and vice versa. So it's not just energy by itself, it's energy now. We're trying to integrate it into the business and how we do business in other areas as well, that ISO 50001 doesn't sit in the side in the silo, and it's not just Dermot's responsibility. So looking at that, we're trying to increase, I suppose, management system focus, which is good for energy management. So we're trying to use the ill-gotten gains of others to actually help our energy efficiency as well. So like back in 1998 was, I suppose, our first quality management system, and then in 2012 we got 14001, which is the environmental, and then we started ISO 50001 in January 2013 after senior management signed it off. As part of that as well, I mentioned earlier about the business of working responsibility mark. We achieved that certification in late 2013. And then up to September of last year, we got ISO 50001. So we were really the 3rd certification to go in. And I suppose this from here kind of gives you a timeline in terms of what we're looking at into the future as well. So we currently completed a gap analysis for IS 393. Or IS 399, sorry, apologies, the energy efficiency design standard that was recently published and supported by SAI. So we've gone through that, and we're looking at how efficient our designs are going to be. And what we found is that an awful lot of engineers were doing this by virtue of good engineering practice, but they weren't capturing or celebrating or taking the plaudits for actually energy savings. So it was a different mindset for them, but they were quite open to actually doing it. So what we found throughout our journey with ISO 50001 is that an awful lot of this has been done by good engineering management, but they've never, I suppose, they've never seen it through rose-tinted glasses in terms of energy management. So it's very interesting when you sit down and you try to explain to people, why haven't you taken the plaudits for this? This is a good news story. So it was great to hear from our design team as well that, yeah, we can do that, and we can definitely celebrate it going forward. So we also got 18001 actually only last month. Looking into the future, one of the reasons that we excluded shrinkage or gas shrinkage from the scope of our 50001 was for a few good reasons. One, it would seriously imbalance our energy usage, and I'll go on to that in the next slide, but also under SI 426 or the EED Article 15, There's a note in there for the transmission distribution operators of utilities, so ESB and ourselves at the moment, to actually complete an energy efficiency assessment. So the CER have directed us to do this, so we're actually going to do that and hopefully build it into ISO 50001 the end of this year, early into next year, and then hopefully recertify with an expanded scope of shrinkage and potentially with the business travel as well. We also have 55001 coming down the road in the asset management system. That's another good story for us as well, is because we're building energy efficient measures and metrics into 55001 as well as we go. So the guys are seeing it in terms of, well, if you operate it and maintain it in an efficient manner, the energy efficiency should be right up there as well. If you don't operate it correctly, then it could affect the maintenance or energy, and similar for maintenance. But what energy will give you is a good indicator whether things are going right or wrong. So they're seeing the benefit as well of measuring energy, not only from an energy point of view, but also from an engineering and management point of view. We're also looking at things like carbon disclosure as well to help us support and integrate 50001 into further things, which is 14064, and kind of a recertification then is 2013. So I'm just going to go on here in terms of Gas Networks Ireland plans for the future. So incorporate shrinkage into 50001. So on the right hand side here you'll see, I suppose, a little pie chart that we did up, and as you can see, the current energy is approximately 1%. Shrinkage would then make the energy balance about 99%. It takes an awful lot of energy to actually transport natural gas across Ireland, and it wasn't that we ran away from integrating into 50001. We just realised that, you know, you eat the elephant one spoon at a time. To take on shrinkage would have been a huge undertaking. We also knew that there was a directive coming down the line from Europe that we would have to complete the energy efficiency balance as well. So we were trying to get the timing and direction from the CER as well right on that. But again, it's just a few more significant energy users. We're going to be using the ISO 50001 platform, the ISO 50001 approach. We're going to be using energy efficiency performance indicators. We're going to be completing training as part of it as well. So it's using the 50001 system to widen it out and to reach further into the business, and to make more improvements as well in terms from a cost perspective point of view. We're also looking at incorporating business travel as well. So the likes of myself coming from Cork to Dublin, you know, how do we actually monitor and measure that as well from a carbon point of view, from a cost point of view as well. So we're looking at ISO 50001 being the vehicle to actually, excuse the pun, to actually deliver that and to put metrics around it and put performance savings around it as well. So we also have things as well like there's a planned rollout for compressed natural gas. This is something that hasn't been done in Ireland before. So natural gas vehicles. There's a number of vehicles in Ireland at the moment, but there's a serious push on at the moment, I suppose, mainly in terms of road hauliers, to look at natural gas vehicles. And that'll also be brought into the scope of 50001. We also have renewable gas that's going to probably come into the scope of 50001 from maybe the operation of the site. So from an anaerobic digestion site, we have to inject that into our distribution or transmission line. That's also going to take energy. So again, this will be another new dynamic as part of 50001. It'll be another significant energy user, but we're going to use the same methodology, and it's building using the same platform again and again and again. So 50001 isn't just the case of that we've stopped. It's all about continuing improving for us. So what we're actually aiming for is further integration of the energy management within our integrated management system. So hopefully in a number of years, I'm not saying we're going to have it done in 2 or 3 years' time, but the idea would be that ISO 50001 would be so ingrained in the business that it would be just doing business. It wouldn't be calling it energy, it would just be how we do business as part of that as well. And there's a number of examples how 50001 has been really adapted and integrated into other businesses, and that's where we want to go. So hopefully in a number of years there'll be no need for me. Dermot will be looking for a job, because it'll be so ingrained into the business then they won't need an energy engineer, and unfortunately I'm doing myself out of a job. But again, it's more of a vocation rather than anything else. So guys, that's about it. So if anybody's I can leave it there and we can take questions.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you.